So hello and welcome to another episode in my NAM tutorial series, and today I'm going to cover the topic of advanced neighbor connections. I'm sure you're all familiar with the standard neighbor connections in the game, most of which tend to only work if you're drawing them in a straight direction. However, using a few of the tricks that I can show you here, we'll be able to put in a diagonal road neighbor connection, a road neighbor connection using the FAR2 network over here. Also show you how you can make a neighbor connection using the streets, and that also includes a diagonal variant. So all in all, four different but hopefully useful neighbor connections that I can show you here today. So I think we'll start with the diagonal road connection. That's actually one of the easier ones of the four I'm going to show you to create. You see I've already put some pieces in place just to help me line everything up. And as you see, as I drag away from the road through these stubs, you can see I've got the pattern correct, and we just drag that outside of the city limits like so. You see we get the default dialog asking us if we want to make a neighbor connection, which we do. And that actually looks, I'm sure you'll agree, like it's all perfect and ready to go. Just one more step that we need. So we'll save this city and exit out into a neighboring city where it connects to. See here, I've actually got a residential area set up. And what we can see is that the neighbor connection has come out instead of as a diagonal, but as a straight section. Can fix that by just simply deleting the entire thing and dragging the diagonal once more from the other side and accepting the connection. Just connect everything up here and remove my additional pieces. Sticking out a wide radius curve, and I'll just get the traffic moving so we can actually see them coming through here. Save once more. Go back to the first city once again. Get the simulator running here as well. And I think very quickly we'll see. Already have the freight trucks leaving on this tile. Just going to switch to the subway tool quickly. And actually here, I've made a subway on the exact same path. And I've used exactly the same technique. Basically, once you've created it on one side, use that to line things up on the other side. Delete the straight connection and replace it with a second diagonal. And basically, you can use the exact same technique for a perfect diagonal subway connection if you so choose. So as promised, the second thing I'm going to show, we'll come over here onto the left side of the city, and we're going to go and make the FAR2 connection. Now the fractional angled network can be drawn 4 tiles along, 4 tiles along. You note there's this 2 tile overlap where we draw them, and that 2 tiles here that is just ending off. That would be where the neighbor connectors need to be. So rather than making a neighbor connection using the road network, we're going to switch to the avenue tool. For some reason it does that sometimes. It's because I've been playing around earlier, but there we go. Got the neighbor connection now. Going to delete everything back from these first 2 tiles with the arrows upon them. And now I'm going to use the Real Highway Disconnector tool. And this is something I don't think anyone has previously, at least publicly stated, can be used for this purpose. But as you can see, it not only removes the road text we don't want, but it leaves the neighbor connection pieces in place. We can then simply just finish off this drag pattern to FAR2 here. And that should be a functioning neighbor connection, at least on this side. So we'll save. And just as we did with the previous connection, we'll go back to the other city where we have to set up once more the alternative direction, which as you see is laid out here again in the 4x4 pattern. Note that no neighbor connection has come through this time. That shouldn't be a problem. So again, we just drag through with the avenue tool until we get offered a connection. Click accept. repeat the same steps that we did on the other side. It's the real highway disconnector we're using, which is far easier than any previous method I've seen. Let's speed the simulator up and give it a little minute so I can start to get cars using both sides, which we now have. Excellent. And yeah, that's us pretty much done for the far neighborhood connection. And I just come quickly into the industrial city, and I'm going to run the simulator here for a little while, and yeah, pretty quickly it updates itself, and you can see here that we have cars coming in from the residential city and the trucks going out from our industrial city. And I'm sure we'll see exactly the same this time when I click here. Yeah, these things are just not updating fast enough before. Patience on my part. And yeah, as you can see, Sims, cars and trucks using both connections in both directions. So for our third connection type, we're going to make a straight street connection. And to do that, here's where I plan to have the straight section. I'm just going to pull the road up and through the edge. I don't know why this isn't happening. I think it's because I've been messing around. Anyway, we've got the neighbor connection now. And much like we did with the avenue ones for the previous part, we're just going to delete everything apart from that very, very final tile. Once more, to get rid of that tile but keep the neighbor connector in place, use the real highway disconnector tool. And now we go into the rail menu and we look for the older viaduct rail or rail puzzle pieces. Press tab twice. That will give us rail over blank terrain. Make sure that the rails are going in the same direction as the edge of the city tile where you are, so as shown. And click that one piece away, or one tile away from the neighbor connection arrow. Then press tab 10 more times, and you'll get the rail over street puzzle piece. Click that in the same orientation next to it. Switch to the bulldozer and disconnect this piece on the right in my case. And that will leave you with just the street stub and the neighbor connector. We can then just connect up to our streets, and that's one side of that connection already in place. Let's just save and go set up the other side in the adjoining city. Okay, so here's where that's going to have been coming through. I may not have left enough space for the neighbor connection to just work. But again, as before, we just set it up once more. Remove the unnecessary textures. 2 and 10 here. Delete. And if I drag that back up, there's my straight connection back in place. And so the last connection I'm going to show is the diagonal street neighbor connection. As you see, I've got a diagonal pattern up and across in this case, or down and across if you want to see it that way. And the diagonal pattern will end on this tile here, which you can see better now. So that's the one that's going to have the neighbor connection on it. And what we have to do on the tile that's going to have the neighbor connection, we have to drag out a connection with the road. And same as we've been doing all along, delete the bits we don't need, plop the real highway disconnector down on the very last tile. I'm just going to clear a few of these up so that I can see what I'm doing better. Then in the roads menu, we're going to select the diagonal street helper pieces. As you press tab, you get for the first 3 items in the ring, diminishing size of street pieces that you can plop. And you can see as I move them along, that's exactly the pattern where we want to go. The neat thing about this is, as you see here, I can actually line it up because it overhangs the city tile, so I know straight away exactly where that needs to go. Just plop that into place, and then we'll continue the drag pattern here to get a stable section of diagonal. I think the plan was just to connect that into here and here. Once more, we're just going to switch cities at this point. So we'll have to set up again the other side of this connection. So again, following the pattern, this is going to be the tile which actually has the neighbour connection, like so. Get rid of the road part and pop ourselves a piece of street like so. Just going to run the I'm just going to run the simulator for a few seconds. So going to fix up tile that's not quite correct there and delete these here. It should force the sims to go where I want them to. Okay, with that done, switch back to the industrial city. The last thing I wanted to quickly show, if you pick a SAM or Street Addon mod starter, like so, that will override the neighbor connection. So this is perfectly viable to use with both the streets and the Street Addon mod variants. So just to finish off, I've come back into the industrial city, so I can just show that both the straight and diagonal connections once more having traffic going in both directions, as you can see here. So yeah, as you can see there, all these techniques that I've shown you today are indeed fully functional, and I hope you enjoy using them. Goodbye.